In this video demonstration, we're going to talk about outbound filtering, where we're going to set up Windows 7 to block Internet Explorer and then come in and create an outbound rule to allow an exception for that to happen. Just as a reminder, if in a previous lab, if you've got a firewall turned on Windows 7, or excuse me, on server C, or maybe you still have NAP enabled, there could be a number of things that could prevent you from doing this lab. So just double check and make sure you don't have any crazy configurations going on. And I'm just going to double check and make sure I'm good to go by clicking on the big blue E, making sure I can actually go to Google and get out on the internet before I go further with this lab. So I can get out on the internet. What I want to do is open up Windows Firewall with Advanced Security, and I can do that in a number of different ways. I could have done that from the administrative tools, which are not on here on Windows 7, but you know what, I'll show you how to do that real quick while I'm at it. I'm going to right click on the taskbar and go to Properties and Start Menu and Customize. I'll scroll down to the bottom here, and where it says System Administrative Tools, I'm just going to say Display on All Programs Menu. Say OK. Say OK. Now I can actually see my administrative tools. Where are you at here? All Programs, Administrative Tools. So I could go in here, and here's my Windows Firewall with Advanced Security. If I didn't want to go through the process of installing my administrative tools on the Start menu on my Windows 7 machine, I could have also just opened up my Network and Sharing Center by clicking on this little icon here. And the Network and Sharing Center went to Windows Firewall and then clicked on Advanced Settings. That would have worked out as well for me. So I'm going to say OK. Kind of waiting for my other instance of Windows Firewall with Advanced Security to pop up on me. Here it comes. Now what I want to do initially is where it says Windows Firewall with Advanced Security, it should be giving me a summary screen here telling me what the status is and what's going on with my different profiles that I have available. So I'm just going to give it just a second. Notice that nothing is showing up, inbound rules, outbound rules, nothing right now. So give that just a second to pop for me. Here they come. So notice how it says, hey, my firewalls are on, my profile is active, and I'm going to go to the properties for Windows Firewall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the properties for my outbound connections on my domain profile. Instead of being allow, default, which is blocked. Now remember, the way Windows Firewall is set up, it blocks all incoming connections except those that there's an exception for, and it allows all, by default again, it allows all outbound connections unless those have been specifically blocked. But we're going to change it around. We're going to say, listen, block all inbound connections unless there's an exception, and block all outbound connections. So we're going to do that for the domain profile, the private profile, and also the public profile. And apply that and say OK. So you also want to make sure you have your firewall turned on. If you don't have your firewall turned on, none of these rules will be applicable because they're firewall rules. So let me just minimize this and try to now go back out to Internet Explorer and go to Google as I once did before, and you'll see that my Google will be blocked because I've said, hey, block it. Don't allow any outbound connections. But what I want to do now is let's go back into our advanced firewall, and let's make a new outbound rule that will allow that Internet Explorer, just Internet Explorer, to work. So let's right-click on Outbound Rules and say New Rule. And we're going to create this rule based on a program. And we'll say Next on the program. And we're going to specify the program path of program files. So let me go back here. Let's go back to C and go to Program Files. And we're going to go to the x86 program files and go to Internet Explorer, and let's do the iExplorer. All right, and we are going to say that we want to allow this connection, and we want that to be applicable to all of our profile locations. And we are going to call this, I think the lab called for this to say allow Internet Explorer outgoing communications. Say finish. So now what we're saying, hey, listen, we want to block everything outbound, but we want to allow an exception to go through for Internet Explorer. So let's now go through and try to open up Internet Explorer again. And because we have that allow outbound connection, Internet Explorer is in fact working as it should. Now let's go back in here and go to the properties of our Windows firewall and change these back, these outbound connections, to be allow, the default for each one of our profiles, because that could get kind of crazy if we don't change this back. Say OK, and that's all we need to do for this portion of the lab.